This trip is something I should have done a long time ago, and I just finally decided to come and see the D-Day landing and everything associated with it. I just figured I'm getting at the age, if I don't go now, I'm not going to go. So I wanted to come and feel the emotion on the ground.
A trip like this is important so that we remember those who have served Canada in the past, remember those who have died in service, and commemorate their accomplishments. Commemorate the liberation of Normandy, France, and all of Europe, including the Netherlands and so on. We have to commemorate that so that we can all learn from it. So I make a special effort to bring the next generation here on a trip like this so that they can feel, touch, see, sense what happened with previous generations and what they accomplished, and aspire to be at their level and learn from the past.
This trip is our duty of memory, and we have, as Canadians, an obligation to go into a cemetery and pay our respect and remember our forefathers that fought for what we currently have in our country right now, which is the freedom.
I think the Juno Beach Day ceremony was the most memorable because it brought home, not very forcefully, the sacrifices made, the numbers of people that died, and the horrible conditions they fought under.
The visibility of high ground boggled my mind, because even though I was artillery all the time and shooting, but from the gun end or the OP end, you didn't have this picture of the whole battle. And some of these hills that we were involved with in this tour said, holy mackerel, no wonder they wanted that hill. And the morale of the soldiers, the commitment to come and do what they knew was a very risky operation, and they went and did it anyway. And they had to walk right over their best friend, perhaps. That just told me that what we've been doing as a nation has been right.
Even though they were volunteers, they agreed to sign on and work as a team to combat evil. They were successful. It cost some of them their lives, but those who came over and experienced warfare and then went back to Canada became some of our greatest citizens in terms of building the Canada we have today. You know, I think a lot of people sometimes see conflict or war and question why it happened or why it's necessary. I think in the case of the Second World War in particular, it was clearly a just war. We were fighting against tyranny. We were fighting to liberate people who had previously been free and were suddenly under occupation, as was the case here in France. And I think it was a good thing we did. It was costly.
We do ordinary things in extraordinary circumstances sometimes, but we just basically are a bunch of men and women that do the best every day and represent Canada and serve Canada.
This particular trip,
I really genuinely enjoyed this trip. The history as recounted by Dave Pattison was absolutely fantastic. I was very, very impressed. It was one of the best trips I've had in my life.
It's been quite some time since I've been back with the military. And to be with the military and see them interacting today very much the way they did in my day, it's really good to see.
My generation has learned from those who served here. That's why I feel a responsibility to pass it on to the next generation. We want our soldiers to be the best they can be. And we owe it to our soldiers, we owe it to our country to learn from whatever happened before and do it better in the future. If you don't remember, then you're bound to repeat the same mistakes.